All
Kathy
right.
Larson, what does the information show as far as how many cattle producers, cow-calf producers use feed testing?
Yeah, there's actually been a few different surveys conducted, I'd say, over the last decade on it. And one was back in 2014, where we started bringing back these industry surveys to get a sense of what producers are doing. And at that time, is around 40% of producers were testing annually. And then we repeated that type of question in a survey that we did on feed testing in 2022, 2023. And we didn't ask specifically about annual feed testing, just whether or not you did any feed testing, and it was about 60%. So recommended is to do it annually, but there's at least 60% of the producers that are using it, if not annually, once every other year.
So do you think it's changed much over the years, or is it a practice really that's it's kind of stalled?
Uh, I think that we're trying to make a little bit of headway. So, you producers could probably attest to the realities that it seems like there's always someone conducting surveys. So I can go back over the literature. There was a survey done in Saskatchewan by Murray Jelinski et al. They surveyed producers that were members of the Saskatchewan stock growers. And the survey went out in 2012, 2013, and feed testing of forages was 22% in that survey. So for us to say that from the sample that we have more recently to be up to 40%, I would say that's an improvement. I would suggest that extension's been helping.
So what reasons do producers give for not bothering with a feed test?
We started asking that in 2017 in the industry surveys, and we gave them pre-populated options to pick from. So maybe that's already planting a seed in a producer's mind of why don't I feed test? But consistently, the top reason selected is that my cows look healthy, so I don't see why I would need to. And I think that the concern with that is lots of times cows will look just fine, but it's the underlying shortages in nutrients and minerals that they need that can end up compounding and leading to productivity issues down the road.
So is there evidence that producers utilizing feed testing are getting those better results that feed testing would seem to offer?
Yeah, I don't have the data to prove that. You can, through the Beef Cattle Research Council, lots of times they'll do webinars that feature producers who can give testimonials of to how feed testing has helped their operation overcome issues that they were maybe having in reproduction. And in the survey that we did, we didn't specifically ask, what's all your open rate and your wean weight, because lots of times there can be other factors that are influencing that as well. But it seems to be that the people that do get on to feed testing, um, in our sample, we found that there was a decent a percentage that had been doing it for a long time. So they've realized the benefits in getting their cows the nutrients that they need for the stage of production that they're at, and that feed is your biggest expense. So you want to get the recipe right, is what I say.
So in a typical overwintering ration, for instance, it might be uh, silage, cereal silage. It might be green feed barley. It might be some straw. It might be some alfalfa pellets. It might be hay. When you do a proper feed test and all of that, what sort of shortfalls do you typically see that can be corrected? What sort of things come out of that sort of analysis oftentimes?
Yeah, and I'm gonna, I'll stop you there. I'm trained as an agricultural economist, so I have to stay in my lane. Um, what we find is that producers will try and be diverse in their feedstuffs. And amongst the feed testers in our sample, they're using multiple different feeds. And so, straw will be low in protein. So you can maybe use it to stretch your better feeds and not go through as much of them. But you have to be mindful of what is the gestation stage of your cows, and um, you have to be paying attention to nitrate levels and things like your green feeds, and you have to be paying attention to, if the cows are in late pregnancy, is it meeting their protein requirements, which is 11%, and their TDN at 65%. So again, what I would suggest is that through all the feeds that you have, that there's resources out there, and a lot of producers, that's the route they take. It's a lot to try and manage all your different feeds and build rations for the different stages. So working either with your livestock and feed extension specialists or the Ministry of Agriculture, they'll provide help, or there's a number of great consulting firms in the province that producers do utilize as well.
And it's probably reasonable to expect that just because the feed test result came back at a certain rate for a certain, say, silage one year, that it might not be the same another year.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Kevin, is that I think that it's a bit of cost to get your feed tested each year. Probably from the experience that I've had in sending away samples through this study, somewhere between $50 to $80 per sample. And so you're going to send a sample away for each of the feeds that you're feeding. And so that can add up, but the cost of maintaining a beef cow is like $1,800 per year. So I don't think you're going to spend $1,800 in feed tests. So you just want to try and think of like it's money well spent, in my opinion. Feed's your biggest expense, and when you're looking at those results, I think sometimes we think, oh, we can just use whatever it was last year. It looks pretty similar, but we do find that there can be variation from year to year. And so in the survey, we asked producers, are you reusing test results? And very few were. They understood that annual testing is important to do.
And your work with cow-calf economics would seem to show that there's a great variation in the cost structure from one cow-calf operation to the next.
Yeah, but on that, through the Canadian Cost of Production Network that CanFax manages, and I'm a provincial liaison for it, we have benchmarks for over 60 farms across Canada and 16 in Saskatchewan specifically. When we slice and dice all those costs, there's lots of variation of costs between the farms, but when we look and see, well, does it matter what they were feeding? What was their primary winter feeding stuff? And um, there's variation with any winter feeding stuff, and for all types of winter feeds, you can be low cost. So it's not, it's something the producers can be cost conscious, or have a reasonable cost using any winter feed stuff. I mean, everybody's located in different regions, and what they can grow in their region and what they have comfort producing seems to vary extensively. And I think that's maybe the beauty of the ruminant, the cow, is they can seem to get by on lots of different feeds.
For producers that need more information, maybe need to start on feed testing or even water testing for water quality, what resources would you point them at, Kathy?
I strongly recommend that producers connect with here in the Saskatchewan with their local regional specialists, their livestock and forage extension specialists. Beefresearch.ca through the Beef Cattle Research Council also has a lot of information on different feed testing and considerations, even labs that are available to send your samples away. And it never hurts to just even contact your local producer association through Sask Cattle or Sask Stock Growers. And by all means, producers are more than welcome to reach out to me if they'd like and to ask some questions. I'd be happy to help.
Kathy Larson, thank you very much.